which we need to survive, can be diminished with pollution. But time keeps going. The hymn we sang last week mentioned "While Ages Roll." With a power outage, your alarm clock might stop, but you'll still be late for church. Time is the ultimate gift, because the time given can never be returned. Other minutes can be returned, but not the original time that was given. Once it's given, it's gone. The minutes, the hours, or the days that are given are removed forever from one's lifetime. And so it is a most valuable gift, truly given of oneself. Part of your lifetime is given to another. That's a most powerful gift. And Jesus gave it over and over again, stopping on his way when a woman touched his cloak, being diverted from his journey to raise a dead child, even cutting his life short to die on a cross. Time is prominent in today's readings as well as those of the past few weeks. Today, David doesn't want to waste any more time to build that house for God. But God sees it a little differently. Wait. David has other things to do in his lifetime. Let his offspring build the house for God. Oh, sometimes we do need to be patient. And in the psalm today, we hear that God is forever faithful. That's a long time, forever. Humans have a hard time being faithful for a few months, or 5 or 10 years. But God, the maker of time, is always faithful. And then we have a reading from St. Paul to the Ephesians. These folks lived in a town called Ephesus, which is now in Turkey. And then, as now, it is a crossroads between Europe and Asia. At the time, Ephesus was a major urban center on an equal with Rome or Antioch or Alexandria. It even boasted of a Roman temple, one of the great 7 wonders of the ancient world, a temple devoted to the goddess Diana. And one of the theaters in the city held 25,000 people. That's a place any football team would envy. So Paul, when he preached, he had quite a few folks listening. And as he recounts, the Gentiles were often called foreigners and uncircumcised. Thus they were distinct and separate from the circumcised, chosen people, the Jews. But Paul is saying the time for that is over. The blood of Christ unites all people. He states, consequently, you are no longer foreigners and aliens, but fellow citizens with God's people and members of God's household. That's a great message for us, probably almost all of whom are Gentiles. And a couple of weeks ago, we heard that Jesus sent out his 12 to go preach. And they weren't to take any clothes with them. They weren't to take any money or food. They had to totally rely on the people they visited and the villages and towns that they passed through. They couldn't even hire a camel caravan because they had no money. And so they walked everywhere. But he gave them a warning. Don't waste your time with people who don't want to listen. Shake the dust off your sandals and move on. That's a pretty good message. Don't waste your time on people who don't want or appreciate what you have to give or what you have to teach. Welcome those who believe, who listen, who want to learn. With those, we can give our time generously. We need to use our time wisely where it will do good. Jesus himself did not even spend much time in his hometown because the people there kept thinking of him as a carpenter. What things important could a carpenter possibly tell them? And so he had trouble. He had trouble using his powers there. He was only able to heal a few. And he did not spend much time there either. Save your time for where it does the most good. In today's gospel, Jesus teaches us about taking time to rest and using time to work. The 12 who went off to teach have now come back and they're all excited, telling him about where they've been, who they talked to, where they stayed. And as you know, traveling is very tiring. And so he knew that and said to them, "Come with me by yourselves," because everybody was always following them. "Come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest." Now there's a message in this rush age that we need to listen to more often, isn't it? We need to go somewhere quiet and rest. Maybe then we'll be able to listen. And so Jesus and the 12 got in a boat so that they could go to a solitary place. But you know what happened. People saw them, saw where they were headed, and rushed over to greet them as soon as they anchored. And no matter where they went throughout the countryside, village, or town, the local people brought the sick to the marketplace so that Jesus could heal them. He hadn't been traveling, so he was working. He would heal the sick because he knew they believed, and they were. My final comment about time comes from a fairly unlikely source. As I take lessons from our organist, Katie, she tends to give me copies of the American Guild of Organists magazine as she gets them read. Several months later. In one issue, there was an interesting article by the guild chaplain. I never knew a guild of organists had a chaplain. But his name is Don Salyers, and he's from North Carolina. And he had written a litany. After rushing through the hallelujah music of Palm Sunday and the sad Holy Week music and the joyful music of Easter, and if you ask any musician about that time of the year, they will groan, because it's a lot of music to prepare for one quick week. And so he wrote this litany about how we choose to use our time. And I'd like to share it with you for your own reflection. And it's called the Litany of the Hurried Life. I'd like to walk under the open sky long enough to let the rain come down on me and the sun to warm my face. But I haven't time, Lord. I haven't time. I'd like to be attentive to the song of birds and all the creatures hymning the world to you in praise. But I haven't time, Lord. I haven't time. I'd like to have 8 full, glorious hours of sleep. To wake refreshed and new with joy in the morning. But I haven't time, Lord. I haven't time. And I'd like to visit those ill and confined who need a smile and a touch of human care. But I haven't time, Lord. I haven't time. And I'd like to bring healing and peace to the imprisoned. But I haven't time, Lord. I haven't time. And I'd like to write a long letter to my family and friends to tell them how life is going for me and to thank them each just for being. You guessed it. I haven't time for that either. I haven't time. Oh, I'd like to be still one evening long enough to see the subtle change from light to dark and the chorus of stars in the night sky. But I haven't time, Lord. I haven't time. And I'd like to praise you for all that we've been given. But I haven't time, Lord. Take from us the burden of rushing through our lifetimes. Redeem the time with us, in us, through us. Help us live in your time. Our times are in your hands. You know, there's a saying that we find time for the things that we think are important. What will you make time for this week?